online wants to see the live stream, we just, I think, informed you to keep the sound down on the live stream so you don't receive any feedback at home.
Which we're not. Sounds like nobody's picking up.
And there you are.
Good morning, folks. Okay, Stu, you can call the meeting to order.
All right. Now let's call it a meeting to order.
Pursuant to NJSA 10.4.6, EDSEC, adequate notice of the meeting being held at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, April 14th, 2020, has been provided by notifying the Daily Record and the Star Ledger by posting said notice in the Administration Building of the Morris County Park Commission and at the County Courthouse, and by filing a copy of the same with the Morris County Clerk, and by posting meeting dates on the Park Commission's website. We'll do a roll call. Commissioner Abrantes?
Here.
Commissioner Barron?
Aye.
Commissioner Cashmit?
Here.
Commissioner Cogger?
Here.
Commissioner Califer?
Here.
Commissioner McCarthy? Vice President Seabury? Commissioner Tall? And President Lasser.
Here.
I'll also, for the record, just note that Freeholder Liaison Shaw is with us today. Deputy Executive
Good morning.
Deputy Executive Director Vital is with us. Park Council Szymanski is with us as well. And the County and Park Commission Treasurer Andres Hassler is with us as well today.
Hi, everybody.
So I'm going to read a few items into the record. One of the most important things, in order for us to transcribe this meeting into minutes, it'll be important that if somebody's speaking, just to let us know who is speaking first, and then I'll provide the spelling of everybody's name for who'll be transcribing the minutes. So first and foremost, the DCA, Division of Community Affairs, did give local operating governments, municipalities, and counties and authorities information on how to guide their way through a virtual meeting. And there are two important points here. One is that the meetings are to be limited to matters necessary for the continuing operation of the government or authority, which relate to the applicable emergency declaration, and to avoid executive or closed session unless urgent matters affecting health, safety, and the welfare of the residents are concerned. I also want to make note for the record that we did provide updated notices of the way in which this meeting was going to be held to the county clerk, the Daily Record, the Bergen Record, and the Star Ledger. And we also posted the update to the Park Commission's website. In each of those notices, we provided what we believe to be clear direction on how to access the virtual meeting, and also directed people that would like to participate in the meeting to the MCPC website at www.morrisparks.net/commission/public meetings, where directions were provided. Those directions from the live streaming perspective allows an individual on almost any web browser to download the app to a computer, tablet, or smartphone. They would then go to www.morrisparks.net/live, click on the Park Commission's public meeting live, and they will be able to see the video, our lovely faces here in the room. But the only way in which the public can make comment at this point in time was in advance of the meeting, and we did receive one public comment in advance of the meeting, and or during the meeting. They can submit those comments by emailing publicmeeting@morrisparks.net. So as most of you are aware, we typically do our public hearing at the beginning of the meeting. I have adjusted the agenda to allow more time for folks to submit any comments to us. So the public hearing has been pushed to near the end of the meeting after we do our resolutions. And I made a determination that if we receive anything today, anything in writing, email today, that will be added to the minutes. And I just wanted to make note to thank Rich and Todd Silverman and Jeff McNeese. They were the individuals that helped set us up quickly with our first virtual meeting. And they are continue to explore if this continues another format that we may use where the public can call in during the meeting. But we'll see, how long we're in this situation and if that becomes necessary. So at this time, President Lasser, the next item on the agenda would be the bills for pay.
Approval of bills?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, all right, so looking for a motion to approve the bills.
I'll move the approval of the bills. June Barron here.
Yeah, this is Betty on second.
Okay,
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner Abrantes?
yes.
Commissioner Barron?
Aye.
Commissioner Cashmit?
Yes,
Commissioner Cogger?
Yes.
Commissioner Califer?
Yes.
Just checking the commissioners I didn't have before. Commissioner McCarthy, are you on the line? No. Vice President Seabury? Not on the line. Commissioner Tall? Not on the line. And President Lasser?
Yes.
Okay, so the next item is my report. I'll bring you up on a couple of, COVID-related items first. I've been trying to keep everybody as informed as possible based upon the activities that are occurring with the multiple executive orders that have come out over the last month or so. Has had some of us jumping a little bit just to be able to secure and notify those folks that have been using the parks. Based upon the county administrator's memo, when this process began, we are mimicking what the county is doing related to non-essential and essential employees. At this point in time, we're moving the schedule forward. Non-essential employees will not be coming into work until April 30th. I will say, though, that we have staggered our essential employees to kind of minimize the contact in the field to this date. So we have only had our assistant foreman
That would be, yes.
through superintendents working in the parks. For the most part, they were basically giving me feedback. They were helping post signs. They were dealing with issues of significance in the park, down trees, et cetera. We had some significant flooding yesterday in some of our surrounding areas, although not as many trees came down as we would have thought. As the growing season is upon us, we will probably be looking at our first week, this week and maybe the first half of next week, continuing to use those senior staff in the field to begin their park maintenance protocol. But I believe if this continues thereafter, we will be working on potentially alternate work weeks. I've been privy to Denville Township had sent an email out last week to all DPW directors in the county, including the Park Commission, just to see how different towns are implementing their field maintenance force. We've done everything we could to keep folks distanced, and to date, that's worked well. I know that Matt Manzi, our manager of golf operations, has coordinated with Billy Casper Golf in their staffing protocol, which had been to a minimum at this point in time. But once again, as the growing season is upon us, they will probably have to begin bringing more folks in as well. We had a number of staff that were impacted by being quarantined in some fashion. One individual had, right before the quarantine began, was on one of the country lists where before coming back to the States, had to spend 14 days in quarantine. He did so. He was not sick. He did not test, but had to follow that protocol. As I noticed a little bit earlier, we had one police officer that is out of quarantine today. He did test positive, but is out of quarantine, and he felt well through most of that quarantine process. And we were notified of one park maintenance staff person who has not been in because he is below an assistant foreman, was quarantined, but he did inform us that he was quarantined. I will also say that Chief DiPietro had put in a great protocol with the park police officers. As you know, we're a 5 on and 5 off scenario, but we had the ability to provide each officer a vehicle for the duration of the 5 on. So they did not have to worry about maintaining additional cleanliness of the vehicle. They were all to be in uniform, changed at home, and basically just came into the office. For those that didn't take a vehicle home, came into the office and picked up their car keys. And then other than having to specifically at Central Park mobilize kind of en masse to secure that facility with all sorts of traffic control, for the most part, those officers have been able to keep themselves separate. Most, if not all, of reporting can be done from their vehicles. And they're also supporting and helped establish the testing site up at CCM. So they're working in both locations at this point in time. We, still are under orders to keep our parks and trails and facilities closed. That was done so with significant signage throughout the county and the county park system. Once again, Central Park of Morris County was one of the more difficult locations to secure. 7 access points, nonprofit facilities on site, along with a New Jersey Transit bus route. We were able to make contact with New Jersey Transit. They were fine with our altering the route, and the nonprofits are still accessible on site. And the chief put a great program together. We reviewed that process with the county administrator, as well as the mayor of Morris Plains and the chief of police of Morris Plains, who are extremely happy that one of the methods we used was to control traffic coming off of or onto Stiles Avenue in Morris Plains. That seems to be working. We are having penetrations, of course, on sections of Patriots Path. Predominantly, it looks like from mountain bikers and less from hikers. I did make a determination, as I said in the previous email, that even if we owned an easement or had a license agreement or a management agreement on a section of Patriots Path that was on municipal park property, if the town was keeping the park open, they could keep Patriots Path open, but during that time frame would be responsible for doing the general light maintenance. We were seeing an enormous amount of dog waste bags scattered throughout the park system, and just asked that their officers secure the facilities as they would do the park themselves. As of Friday the 10th, 16 out of the 39 towns had closed their municipal parks. In some cases, only trails were open in the park system. So I believe in the case of Randolph, one of our anomalies where we own James Andrews Memorial County Park, but Randolph Township constructed and manages the trail through that park. That trail system does remain open. And prior to March 15th, 4 of the 21 counties had closed their county parks, of which only really 16 of the 21 have any defined park system. So they were a little bit ahead of the game on that. Executive Order number 122 came down, I think, late last week, or actually over the weekend. That was related to construction projects. Our non-essential construction projects are not to move forward. In our case, the only component that actually could happen would be a utility or transportation project. We are anticipating completing the paving of the driveway areas at Frelinghuysen and Arboretum. That was to occur yesterday, but I have to see if Jim had rescheduled it for today or not. And the last item on that list is that we have an extensive list of non-ice events scheduled for Mennen Arena, really beginning near the end of May. At this point in time, we've made the assumption that all of the graduations, both college and school, are probably canceled. And we have a number of other events that will be notifying the event organizers that at least through May, at this point, the arena will not be in operation, and we'll take the June. We'll go month to month just to see whether or not the permit holders are going to cancel in advance of the meeting. I will say that the arena staff was able to get the ice off of Rink 1 down pretty efficiently and quickly without having to utilize any significant amount of staff. Any questions related to our actions related to COVID?
Dave, this is Freeholder Shaw. Can I?
Yes, Freeholder Shaw.
I think you may be aware, I received a couple of emails about the community garden in Morristown.
Yes.
Could you address that? Because I've got to answer these folks.
Sure. So we've been receiving those emails as well as staff. The community gardens is part of the Frelinghuysen Arboretum. And we received some complaints from gardeners that they may have either had winter crops ready to pick or wanted to continue to maintain their gardens. I was not addressing that as of last week. The gardens are part of a park, so for all intent and purposes, they're deemed closed. But I did reach out to staff this morning to see the number of folks that would have to remove vegetables from their plots, but not continue to maintain for weeding or planting, to see the number, to see whether or not we can, or even myself, just man the site for a period of time, 4 hours on Friday, let's say, to allow them to pick their vegetables or flowers or so. The issue we have there is it's a gated site, to keep the varmints out. And, it's one of those points of penetration where people have to access. So I'm going to see the numbers to begin with and see whether it's controllable or not. And then, so maybe just Freeholder, just let those folks that are responding to you that you spoke to me to see if there's a way to safely allow entrance and access to those areas. On that note.
Yeah. Because
Yep. I'm sorry.
One of them indicated that they left their gardening tools in there because, of course, it just obviously that order came down and then everything was locked up that night, I guess.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you've seen these emails. I'll forward just a couple that I have and tell them that trying to make an accommodation, no promises, and they can contact your office. Is that the right thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I will say on that note, that is not one of the only special circumstances that have been brought to my attention directly. Those of you that know the Columbia Trail, on the 513 trailhead across from Jenkinson's farm, there is an equestrian facility. And of course, not even 5 minutes after the order came down, I received an email from an individual that said his wife borders the horse, and they utilize the Columbia Trail to exercise the horse, and it's the only way they have to exercise the horse. I received an email from a mother that has two autistic twin 12-year-old boys, and using trails has been a great way for her to be with her children. So we are everybody's got their own reasoning why, and our sites are so penetrable. You make an accommodation for one, you can't stop that. So I'm trying to take, at least at this point, I think with the gardening aspect, there may be a way to accommodate, but I did tell the lady with the autistic boys that if she wanted to come here to the headquarters and walk on the trail behind our parking lot and go up and down a couple of times, just to notify me or Park Police that they're here to allow for that. But, everybody, the Frelinghuysen Arboretum is used significantly from a therapeutic perspective. We know a number of the local hospitals send, folks to that site recovering from strokes to walk and so on. So, there are any number of reasons why folks have asked for the parks to be open. We are not coming down with a heavy hammer, of course. We just continue to notify individuals, and we'll continue to do so as long as those parks are closed. And then just real briefly, I have my general report. I believe Rich may have sent everybody an email related to their 2020 ethics financial disclosure filings. Those have to be done by April 30th. So if you have trouble figuring them out this year, or you're doing it for the first time, just touch base with Rich. It's a relatively simple process. For any of you folks that are interested.
That timeline was extended, actually.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, one of the executive orders extended that.
Okay.
You could obviously do it any time, but I don't know the exact date, but it was extended a month or two.
Okay, we'll check on that. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested in some light reading, Tim Rack has completed his loss run analysis from 2014 through 2019. I'm pleased to say that our Claims in 2019 have hit an all-time low of $42,805.
Wow.
From 2018, where it was 206,000, and 2014 it was 282,000. So if you're interested in that report, we'll be happy to forward it to you. And Tim is coming in on a alternate schedule, so he'd be happy to respond to any questions on that. We are allowing some of our maintenance contracts to continue in the parks. So you have 2 resolutions before you tonight that relate to Solitude Lake Management. So beginning tomorrow, Solitude will continue its annual lake and pond monitoring visits. And they're being accommodated by staff where necessary, at least to open and close a gate. But they have 16 of our 17 ponds on schedule to begin monitoring beginning tomorrow. We do have Matt Trump, our Superintendent of Natural Resources Management, coming in every few hours, a few hours during the week, just to continue the egg addling process. There are things we don't want to let just go to way, and he's been doing that as well. And he was extremely helpful in posting signs along Patriots Path, where we made a final determination for the commissioners. There are 140 trailheads along Patriots Path from East Hanover to Mount Olive. We also, Kelly Kovacevic, our Director of Park Maintenance and Natural Resources, was working with Park Council Szyminski on our ash tree removal contract. As we had been bringing you up to speed all throughout the year, the contractor was extremely slow in getting Central Park completed. And he went on to move with about a week left in the contract time frame to begin removing ash trees at Hedden Park. He removed less than 10% of the trees, not necessarily before this COVID activity occurred, but before the contract end time occurred, and he had asked for an extension. We sent him notice that we were not considering the extension. As you know, the scheduling of the ash tree removal, specifically in the parks, were to be done in the wintertime where it was less impact to the public, and then allowing any tree removal to continue through April and the rest of the year would not be appropriate. I'll also be sending to your attention, I've received the first formal correspondence from one of our vendors. Our vendor at Seton Hackney Stables is expressing a financial hardship. I will send his correspondence to you directly, and at our next meeting we can discuss that. I am anticipating that the Pro Shop at Menin and the Snack Bar at Menin may do the same as well. Stu, I just need a motion and a second to approve my report.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Barron, motion,
Yes.
and the second
This
was
is Betty, I'll second.
Betty,
This is Betty, I'll second, yeah.
and Stu, we just need a voice vote.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the next matter will take us into executive session. If there are any folks at home monitoring the live stream video, this live stream will be placed on mute. I would not back out of the video, keep it on. It'll be an extremely quick executive session. We just have one matter that needs to be discussed briefly. So can I have a motion to enter an executive session?
So moved.
Commissioner Barron, and seconded by Commissioner Abrantes. All right, Commissioner Abrantes?
Yes.
Commissioner Barron?
Aye.
Commissioner Cash-Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Cogger?
Yes.
Commissioner Califer?
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy? Is not here. Vice President Seabury? Not here. I think Commissioner Seabury was on the phone on Thursday of last week. Commissioner Towle, are you with us? And President Lasser?
Yes.
Okay. Rich will turn the microphone back on, and for the public that may be watching, you're now back in open session. We have one matter in closed session for the commission to vote on, and that relates to,
We have one.
excuse me? So that relates to the matter of a grievance by a Park police officer related to the length of time and the noticing of the time that a promotional schedule should be provided.
Julie Barron here. I make a motion. I'm in complete agreement with Commissioner Lasser's response.
Okay, can I have a second?
This is Betty, I'll second.
Commissioner Abrantes?
Yes.
Commissioner Barron?
Aye.
Commissioner Cash-Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Cogger?
Yes.
Commissioner Califer?
Yes.
And President Lasser?
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the resolutions. Are there any questions on the resolutions before I put forward a motion, ask for a motion on the adoptive?
No questions.
Okay.
Move we accept the resolutions,
So
whatever the numbers are.
So resolution number 34-20, be resolved by the Morris County Park Commission on this 14th day of April 2020 that the following resolutions be adopted in the form attached. Resolutions number 35-20 through resolution number 49-20.
Move it.
Commissioner Barron moved it. Can I have a second?
Anthony Abrantes, second.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Commissioner Abrantes?
Yes.
Commissioner Barron?
Aye.
Commissioner Cash-Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Cogger?
Yes.
Commissioner Califer?
Yes.
And President Lasser?
Yes.
So I just wanted, I apologize in the public hearing. I just wanted to make note that one individual, Mr. John Landau, provided a comment on the email messaging system in advance of the meeting. And his only question was whether the Mainland Dickerson Reservation Forest Assessment Stewardship Plan was going to be discussed. Rich responded back to him, no, that it was not, and that it would probably be delayed for some period of time at this point. Are there any other comments to be made part of the meeting?
Dave, if I may, Freeholder Shaw here.
Okay.
I just wanted, on behalf of the Freeholder Board, express our gratitude. Really extraordinary circumstances, and you and your staff have risen to the challenge. I know the Park Police have been especially helpful as well, and I just wanted to thank you all for your service during these tough and trying times.
Thank you for that. I should make note to the commissioners that Freeholder Shaw and I have spoken at least once or twice during this time frame and has expressed the same throughout the process. So thank you for that, Freeholder Shaw.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cogger, I think you.
Yeah, I have one question. With all of the shutdowns, the ice and everything else, are we looking at a significant revenue dip?
Significant might be a light term, but Rich has some numbers.
That's what I thought.
So Rich has some numbers here. He's been working with staff on, so when you look at our revenue report on a monthly basis, there are times where you see, payments be made significantly in advance of the event. So you could have a payment today for an event or programming in September, October. So Rich can provide us with some of that information he's been working on.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll kind of go through the major locations first. So I have been in contact with Rob O'Rourke and Ryan Phelps at Billy Casper Golf. They kind of given me a overview for each facility, as well as what their expectation is, at least through the month of May. So basically the anticipation right now is all of April, they are anticipating no revenue, and they're being hopeful that at least for the time being, that in the month of May, that they can anticipate at least 50% revenues. So for a forecast for a year to an annualized forecast total for the year, right now it's an expectation of roughly $930,000 will be lost in revenue. And that's just for a couple of days that have occurred in March, all of April, and anticipating 50% loss for the month of May. So we have been trying, keep close tabs as far as trends. I guess in New York, even though the governor may have closed like a lot of the facilities, I guess municipalities are still able to have their golf courses open. So a former employee of the Billy Caspers who went up to Wallkill says he's killing it right now because everybody that used to play our courses are just jumping over the line real quick and playing up there. So there's still a need for people to play. It's just whether we have the ability to do so. Probably the one thing that's helping us a little bit is we did have a great first quarter, but that was negated very quickly by the impact of COVID-19. Men in Arena. So for the month of March, right now, 2019, we're only seeing about a $60,000 variance from 19 to 20. But that is, and we still have to look at, see if there's going to be any further refunds processed. But I anticipate that there would not be too many of those as it relates to major revenue ice usage, because I believe we were billing up to the date of the 16th or 17th, something like that, from when we started to make the decision when we were limited down to 10 users or less, and then down to 4. So as of right now, for April, we'll be looking at about $250,000 loss if the facility is not able to open at all. I do know that we've been processing a lot of requests for a Learn to Skate program, which kind of goes through a 6-week period. So that could be a little bit of March into April, or a little bit of April into May, and so on. And I'm sure people are, going to start being, especially when you're dealing with the younger children, have some fear as far as they're going to let people start congregating quickly, especially for maybe something that might not deemed as essential as to other opportunities. Now for our other main, I'll call it, visitor services, horticulture education, historic sites, school groups, that was a little difficult as far as to be able to provide a report from our revenue report perspective, as Dave just spoke to. But through the implementation of our reservation system, I am able to track by month the potential revenue that we would have been booking based on actual events that were booked in those months. So just to give you an idea, the total cost could be, or total revenue that we would have anticipated over the next 3 months would have been about $450,000. And to date, we have about $50,000 that we've already refunded. So I anticipate that number will change once people really start figuring out where they're going to be booked, what risk they want to take, if there is any. So this number is changing. This was done as of April 6th. So I anticipate that I'll probably be running this report on a bi-weekly basis, just because I know staff, even myself, have been getting emails as it relates to refunds. I'm starting to see them go out to as far as August. People are questioning their dates for a certain event. So now it might not even be because of a fear factor. It just might be because people might not be able to afford it. The economy continues the way it is. So we're closely monitoring that, but we're going to have quite a significant impact on overall revenues. For everybody who's not familiar, out of our $30 million budget, only $13.6 million of that is tax support. The remainder is either fund balance anticipated or programmatic revenue. So if we start seeing a major impact where we're pretty much already projecting, over basically $1.5 million, maybe a revenue loss, we'll have to come back to the table soon and start making some decisions there. Any other questions, Bill?
Yeah, well, it just two pop into my head, but just really one. Have we heard anything from our federal reps about any type of bailouts? I know they're talking about doing something for the states and municipalities. Are the counties included in that? Do we know?
So I'm not aware of that at this point in time. I will say that I did ask John Szymanski through his firm to be kind of digging into the weeds of what some of the recent stimulation bills may provide to us. At this point in time, we're only finding that programs like the NEH and the State Historic Trust are receiving additional funds, but that does not trickle down necessarily to an operating function or a significant operating function. We're going to start taking a look at the block grant program because I think that's where some of the state dollars are going to go towards. But I am in conversation with my counterparts in the other county park commissions, not necessarily systems, that rely on revenue streams, non-tax revenue streams to support the operations, to see if we can collectively go to our state legislatures and our federal legislature as well, to see what dollars can move in a certain direction. Is this potentially a time to allow open space dollars that have been collected for acquisition or development in the short term to be used for maintenance purposes? So maybe not a new tax collection, but we're kind of pounding the pavement on that bill, and we're looking in every corner we can. I was even going to reach out to former freeholder Myers to see what may be available through the SBA program. We did make our nonprofits aware that they should be searching out. Some of our nonprofits have staff to see whether or not they, or would be eligible for a program to cover the staff costs.
Yeah, apparently nonprofits, so I'm told, are able to participate in keeping your staff on.
That is correct. Yes.
So just a question in my head is, would a commission be eligible for that?
We'll have to ask that question. Our Park Alliance would be eligible for that, but they don't have staffing.
No, but I mean, if we...
Oh, from a loan, okay. Yep.
If we submitted and kept all staff on, that would alleviate some payroll burden for us. And I know they're doing grants up to like $10 million. So, maybe we ought to poke around and see if we're eligible. All I can tell us is no.
Correct. I will reach out to Christine Myers. She'd been in coordination with me over the last couple of years on some initiatives, so I will see if she'll respond and how busy she may be.
Okay.
And I am aware that a new tranche of funds may come out related to dollars going to the states, not yet knowing how those funds will be distributed at the state level, if it's going to be pushed down to the local level. So I'll continue to ask John to be a second set of eyes and ears for us to monitor those programs.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you. Anything else from the commissioners?
No.
Stu, can we have a motion to close?
Yeah, we can. Julie?
And Commissioner Bronte, second?
Before we close.
Yes.
Before we close, I just want to say one thing. I've been in touch with Dave and Rich, and the two of you have been really terrific. Dave, you've been exceptional, virtually every day. This has been your life, and thank you for representing it so well.
You're very welcome.
So, all right. So with that, the motion to close by Julie. We got a second?
Commissioner Bronte, seconded. Yep. Everybody stay healthy, and if you need, any backup to any of the resolutions we spoke about or any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
That was not bad. No emails? Or no fan base? Maybe we should move our, put that thing on mute.